Welcome, Regens. This is Web3Roots Podcast, a space to explore the hearts and minds of regens all over the world. What are the views, motivations, and influences of founders and contributors in the Web3 space? What are the ideas shaping their actions? Let's take a deeper dive into their whys and get to the roots. Welcome back to another episode of Web3Roots Podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa, and I'm going to start this episode with some news. We are opening with this episode a new phase of Web3Roots Podcast, and well, Claudio, my co-host, unfortunately, it's not going to be joining us anymore due to personal reasons. We hope the best for him, and I want to thank him for jumping in this adventure with me. And I think we did a pretty beautiful work with the guests we had for this season. We also did an episode on technologies versus technologies, and had pretty interesting conversations. So I want to thank him for jumping in this adventure with me and daring to learn. And, this was a new experience for both of us. But now we are opening this transition phase to, just a new evolution for Web3Roots. And for that, I wanted to have with me today Alex, who is the producer of Blockchange Solidarity, and he also helped us, Claudio and I, a lot, crafting this idea and putting everything together, and even helping us to organize scheduling and everything. So I think he is the right person to be here with me today to talk a bit about what this new phase is going to look like. So, hello, Alex. How are you?
Hi, Vanessa. Awesome. I'm really good. Thank you very much. And thanks for having me on Web3Roots Podcast. I love the podcast. I think you guys have done a wonderful job, yourself and Claudio. It's been a really fascinating podcast to follow and listen to. And I'd echo your sentiments without having to repeat them. You and Claudio had a really nice time together, learned a lot, developed together, created some nice creative energy together for those first number of podcast episodes. Had some really nice guests on. You guys got a lot of great feedback. As you said, I created Blockchange Solidarity, and we now have 4 podcasts. This is one of them that we produce, and it's just been a pleasure to watch this one grow. And now, as you say, Claudio is unfortunately not able to continue to personal reasons, unfortunately. And so, like every project, every podcast, or anything in life, you kind of have to assess, reflect, and take the opportunity maybe to change and bring something new to the way forward. So I'm interested to hear what you've been thinking about as the which way you want to move Web3Roots.
Yeah, so Web3Roots, it's about, well, the roots, and we want to get more of that. We want to get to know our guests more in a deeper way, and learn about their purposes and about what moves them. And when we craft this idea, we thought of a podcast for regen, or about regens. And well, I was just asking myself then, what is a regen? What does it mean to be a regen? And I thought that this is a pretty interesting question that we can ask our guests from now on. And so, thinking about that, I want to ask you, Alex, what it is for you to be a regen?
Well, interesting question, I must say. And can I say that the concept that you've just outlined, that you want to sort of take the underlying theme of the podcast, which is to go into the roots of regens and ask this really sort of clear question: what is a regen? The fact that you want to focus on sort of not just that question, but that question, and make sure you ask every guest, if I understand what you're saying. I think that's really focused, and I think it's really adequate and proper for this podcast, because I think as a producer, our other pods are doing this as well. They're thinking of ways that they can mark themselves out. On Crypto Dark Pod just yesterday, we thought of our own style and our own question that we want to sort of put out to the world as our thing, and that will be, how do we fix the darkness in crypto? Because, okay, we do episodes on what is dark in crypto, but we want to be the people that bring some positive energy as well at the end. So we'll ask every guest, what is it that we can do to take the darkness out and present a positive way forward? So I think it's really important that every podcast, to build its brand, to build its body of work, to build its creative process, focuses on something central. And so what is a regen seems to me like a really simple and clear but deep question to ask regens. So I think this is a really smart thing to do. Now, to answer the question, wow, what is a regen?
Yeah,
What is
what
a
makes a
regen
good
for me?
region for you,
Yeah.
or on your perspective?
Yeah, I think, well, from my perspective, I think a regen has to be someone who thinks about the world in a collaborative way. You know, we all are beautiful human beings and individuals, but a regen for me is someone who brings their individual energy to the world, steps out of their front door, and thinks how they as an individual can become part of a collective whole, and how we build a regenerative economy together in a collective way, and how we build planetary regeneration in a collective way. And I think that means bottom up. I think it means post profit. I think it means different value systems that blockchain enable us to get to. And I think it means putting people and planet first, and everything else after. So I think that for me is the base, sort of key things that I would point to, bringing that humanity, bringing that sort of other community collaborative values forward. And I think this is so important, if I could just say this as well, is that the current state of regen, I think the current regen, Web3 regen world that is prominent at the minute isn't that. It's actually a lot more based on profit at the minute, and VCs, and working within the current status quo. And I would, at least in my opinion, a good regen is someone who thinks about something that's beyond that. And so that's what I would say. That's what I would answer the question as. I don't know what you think about that answer, but yeah, what do you think?
Well, I have to say I agree with you. Community, of course, it's at the center of what for me it is to be a region. And yes, putting humanity up front and putting life at the center, as a quote I read somewhere, and I can't remember who was it from, but it went something like, regeneration means putting life at the center. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is for me. And also, this has to do with long term. For me, a region is a person that has this long term vision, to thrive in community, to look for ways to do better for the planet, do better for the people, and to sort of put this at the center of our economic systems and everything we do. And it's not only about being green, or being limited to, I don't know, carbon credits and all these ideas that had come up from regens or from this regen movement, so to speak. But I think it's about the long-term vision, and something that also is really important in my vision, at least, is that we have to, or to be a regen is to make local impact, to do impact in the real life.
Yeah.
Because I feel that sometimes those intentions can just be left in this sort of floating realm in the Web3 space or whatever. But I think it is about to finding ways to, make life better and,
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. I see what you're saying. That's such a key part. Like, because the sort of key slogan, or one of the key slogans of the regenerative movement inside Web3 and outside Web3, if you like, is it local first, then bring it up to the global or something. Like, I can't remember the specific quote or whatever, but it's this focus on local first in a global way. So I think you're right. It's fine if, to answer what is a good regen or what is a regen for you, or however you end up phrasing it for your guests, for them to say some positive conceptual things. But I think we have to start with the pragmatics as well. Like, are we actually changing the world on a local level? Because there's as Karl Marx said, the philosophers can talk about changing the world in their books and interpret the world, but the point is to change it. The point is to be local and change things. So that's
yes.
so important.
So I think that regeneration is to enable people to live their full potential, and to enable them to thrive. And that's what, for me, it means to be a regen, and that has to do with this local impact that we are talking about. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear what our guests have to say about this topic, and about what, I'm very curious to know what are their thoughts about the Web3 refi space. I'm very curious to know what are the opinions that are going to spark from that question.
Well, so am I. Let me ask you this question. Maybe are you anticipating that all your guests will say the same articulation as you did? I doubt it.
I doubt it too. I think people have different opinions on what that means. For some of them, it's about community. For some of them, it's more like that local impact. For some of them, it's like a whole. And so I think it's going to be very interesting to see these different perspectives on it. And I'm excited for our next guest. It's going to be Marcelo Silva. And
nice. Good one.
Yes. So stay tuned for this next episode, and I'm excited to see also what he has to say on the topic.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one, knowing Marcelo and his involvement with Refi Spring. That's a really good next guest to have, and this sounds awesome. This seems like a really awesome evolution. It's really exciting. I think you're going to bring a lot of creative energy to this one, and to this phase. And I think the concept of just really getting deep with guests and focusing on this question, and what even, you could also ask the guest to start off, what are your roots? Get them to explain what is important in their life, and then lead them on through this conversation and asking them, centering it around what is a regen, and how they think they're contributing to it, and what it means. So that's really exciting.
Yes, I think it's
going to, yeah.
I think this is an important question to ask the community right now.
Oh yeah, there's never been a better time to ask this kind of question.
Exactly.
It's what everyone's asking. The community is like literally like split or splitting, and this is kind of like what is a regen? What should it be? Is like the question everyone's asking. So
Yes.
I just anticipate everyone will want to listen to this podcast. For everyone listening, you'll want to listen to this podcast if you're in the regen world, or even if you're not, but you're in Web3 and not in regen with Web3. You'll want to know that what important people we have on, people in the regen space, think about this question, because they're the leaders,
Yes.
they're the contributors. So it's perfect.
Also, I want to invite everyone listening to share your thoughts with us. Go to Web3Roots Podcast on Twitter and just give us what being a regen means to you.
Yeah, that's a good point, and also you'd probably agree, because I think we've said this. You and Claudio have had this attitude from the start. Is for any guests, like, we want to have an open conversation with them. Like, you guys might not you might not agree with them, but it's about having these kind of harmonious human conversations that makes people feel welcome, even if we do differ. And that's just better conversations. That's better way to have a path forward, rather
Yes,
than,
for sure. It's about getting to know them and what their thoughts are and what their worldview is about. So yeah, and of course
awesome.
we are all different and we all have different perspectives and we all have different stories and backgrounds. So yeah, this is very interesting to get into the roots of everyone and get to know why they're doing what they're doing, or what are their motives. So
And what's the change they want to see? Yeah, awesome.
yeah,
Well,
exactly.
good
What's
luck
their
with it,
vision?
and yeah, good luck with it. I think you're going to do fantastic, and yeah, I'm excited to listen to the episodes.
Thank you, Alex. I'm happy that you jump in with me today. So to finish, I want to ask you, Alex, are you a good regen? Do you consider yourself a good regen?
That's a good question. Let me answer that in a way that doesn't make me feel, or that doesn't make the perception of me too egoistic. I think I have so much to do, and I suck in ways you can't even imagine. But I think in our own little ways inside Blockchange Solidarity, where I can, at least for now, have some sort of impact, is I'm trying to build. I'm trying to involve, through our hosts, through our contributors, through our supporters, a collaborative, decentralized way where we get together and build something that has these kind of regen root values at its core. And the latest thing we're trying to build is a collective of podcasts out there that aren't even in our collective, and bring them all together so that we can share economy, we can grow together, and do it in a sustainable regen kind of way. And it's good for the planet, good for everyone. And that's kind of thinking of all of us together, how we govern together, how we build together, and how we grow together as either podcasts or creators. So I think in the little ways that I can, that's what I'm aiming for. I'm not aiming for anything else but those values. So I would hope that I'm going in the right direction, but there's just so much I'm not doing also. So yeah. And what about you? Let me put that back on you before we end. Vanessa, are you a good regen?
Well, I hope I am. But I feel like I'm growing and developing my ideas to become a better regen. And if I put it this way, as enabling people to reach their full potential and thrive, I definitely want to get better at that. But I'm putting my seed out with this podcast and with the energy I try to bring to the space. So hopefully I'm going to become a better regen.
I think so. I think just even having conversations with other regions and the love and energy, regen kind of energy that you will bring can push an energy into these guests, even if you do it directly and you change their minds on the podcast or you leave them with a spark. It's just putting out so much good energy that they'll take away, and then amongst their communities they'll then push onto them, or not push but reflect onto them. So I think it's a really, this podcast for you is a really amazing opportunity to do that. It's
Yes, you
kind of
know what?
awesome.
I'm happy that we are going to be like sort of crafting this concept together, putting it together all together. So I'm happy.
It's Regeni in a way. It's Regeni is
exactly.
the whole concept. Yeah.
So
Awesome.
yeah, I'm happy about that, and of course to get to know all these different stories and perspectives. So yeah, I'm excited for what's to come in this new phase of Web3Roots podcast. So I want to thank everyone that is listening to us, and I want to tell you to stay tuned because, well, we are getting renewed, and we are also going to have awesome guests on the next episodes, starting with Marcelo Silva for our next episode next week. So stay tuned. And thank you, Alex, so much for jumping in with me today and having this conversation about what it is to be a regen. So thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, Vanessa. Good luck.
Woohoo! See you.